Welcome back to the Sales Genius Podcast, where today's episode shines a spotlight on the incredible journey from the front lines to the financial frontier. So I am your host, Joe Ingram. You know that. And joining us today is Edward Buddy Rushing of White Feather Investments. So I'm going to do today a little different as far as we're going to ask him questions. We're going to find out what makes Buddy tick and how we could become a part of the White Feather Investments in the way of referring people that need his help. And when you hear about it, it's going to make a lot of sense. But Buddy's not just a combat veteran. He's a visionary who transformed his experiences and first steps into the real estate in 29 Palms, California, to creating a nationwide investment movement. Buddy's story is one of true resilience and dedication. So stay tuned as we explore how Buddy Rushing helps our nation's heroes build wealth and secure their financial futures. All right, let's get it started.
Welcome to War Games, hosted by the sales genius Joe Ingram. If you're looking to win the sales battle, then you have joined the right team. In the War Games group, we devise strategies for sales, marketing, branding, mindset, and attitude. We enlist the assistance from the most successful producers across all industries. We then share their knowledge and techniques with you. Our single goal is to get you ready for your next sales opportunity. When it comes to crossing the minefield of sales, step in the footprints of those that have crossed before you. Now, prepare yourself for boot camp and beyond. It's time for the War Games to begin.
How we play a game.
Welcome back from the intro. Let me go ahead and add Bob, our VIP.
Hey
Bob
there.
is here. And Edward Buddy Rushing. He only goes by Buddy, so we're just going to call him that. Buddy, welcome to Sales Genius and the War Games group. Appreciate you.
I appreciate it. That was a heck of an intro. I was
So,
like, all right, what am I about to watch? This better be legit. And then I realized it was just me.
It better be good.
Yes. So, well, let's bring it. Turn on
So-
my desktop treadmill.
Oh, nice.
Just keep running through the whole thing. I get it. So here's what I'm going to jump out right now. Explain White Feather Investments, right? That'll be the first thing. But can you take us through the initial challenges you faced while setting up that? So if you tell us what it is and what you had to go through to get there, right? And then tell us a little bit more, because I know everyone's going to be excited to understand it.
I think most people, their journey is one where they start off with an idea and then, 10 years later, they have a different business, right? I don't know very many people at all that 10 years later have exactly the same business that they originally had in their mind. So for us, White Feather started out as just, we had read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and we had this notion now that we could potentially break the cycle of poverty that we grew up in and build financial freedom, and to do it through real estate. And so that was the idea. And so White Feather for us was my wife, Kimberly, and I were, buying rental properties, just to put it simply. We were in a bunch of different ways, buying from the bank, foreclosures. We were doing BRRRR deals. We did joint ventures. We did seller finance deals. We did wholesale deals, all the different types of deals, but not many of them, right? Because I didn't have much money. And so we were trying to educate ourselves and do all that. So White Feather started, honestly, for the first 10 years with us just out there swinging away, trying to find these little tiny properties in the desert, $70,000 houses in 29 Palms, right? So super modest. After 10 years, I think we had like $1,200 a month of net cash flow, like amongst, there was like 8 properties or something like that, and like $1,200. So little tiny stuff, not life-changing stuff at all. Conceptually, it was life-changing though. And so what it eventually morphed into was, one day, we met this guy named Matt who had a turnkey rental provider business in Memphis. And that's a business where they buy properties off market, they renovate them, put a tenant in place, put it under management, and then they sell it not to homeowners, but to investors. And so that's called a turnkey rental provider business. And so I was like, whoa, that's interesting. So I don't have to find these deals myself. I could buy them renovated with a tenant already in place and with management in place. So I started selling the properties we had purchased in California and doing a 1031 exchange into Memphis properties, right? That cash flow better neighborhoods and so on. And
a lot less tax drama.
A lot less tax, better landlord-tenant laws, rent-to-price ratios. I mean, literally everything about everything about Memphis was better than 29 Palms in Yucca Valley, except the appreciation. And so we were doing that, and we were upgrading our portfolio and getting closer to financial freedom ourselves. And then it was almost like this steam pressure valve that had been building for 10 years of everywhere we went. I went to Afghanistan 3 times. I went over to England and did an exchange program. Every time we went to Bridgeport for training or 29 Palms for training, there's a lot of sitting around while you wait for the buses and the planes and all this. And you just talk. You talk about what you're interested in. And so for a decade, I had been blabbing nonstop about how awesome real estate was. And all of my Marine friends were like, well, dude, we believe you. How do we get involved? And I never had an answer for them. I'm like, go read a book. I don't know. I have no idea. Well, all of a sudden, we're buying these properties from this guy in Memphis. And I'm like, man, this is awesome. I'm selling these C-level properties and buying these upper B-level properties that are cheaper and cash flowing better. And it's like all of a sudden my $1,200 a month of cash flow turned into like $3,000 over the course of like 4 months of just selling and buying and selling and buying. And I'm like, this is crazy. This is starting to get really exciting. And then I asked the guy, I was like, well, do you have any more of these? Because my Marine buddies have been asking me for a long time, can they get in? And he goes, yeah, dude, I've got 35 more in the pipeline. This was 2017. I have 35 more in the pipeline being renovated that I need to sell. And the simplest ideas, right? It was February 2017, a Saturday morning. And I said, I've got an idea. Why don't all of my Marine friends that have been asking me, why don't I show them how I calculate cash flow analysis, how I analyze a property? I'll just teach them basically how to find what good properties are. And then I'll show them your list. And if any of them buys it off that list, why don't you just give me a referral fee or cut of the sale? And it was very relatively small amount, like $3,500 per house, right? Just very, but what did I care, right? I mean, it was for me just a side gig, and I was helping my Marine buddies, and I just didn't want to do it for free, and I didn't want to charge them. So that's kind of how it started. And wouldn't you know it, I made 5 phone calls that morning, and every single guy that I talked to was like, hell yes. Yes, we've been waiting for this for so long. And I had no marketing. I still don't really have marketing. None of that, no business, nothing. I had nothing, just my phone, right? And a bunch of people who'd been waiting, I guess, for this opportunity. And 2.5 years later, we had collectively purchased over 300 properties from this guy, Matt, forced him to scale his business. White Feather was born as this company now that's, at the time it was about 200 of us. Over 2.5 years, word of mouth, no marketing, no nothing, Facebook messages, stuff like that. And there was about 200 of us at the time. We purchased 300 properties in Memphis from him. And then somebody had the idea of, well, why don't you, instead of just teaching us how to invest in this one particular type of property, why don't you train us on how to build a business like you've done? And so we created something called the Real Estate Investing Accelerator, which is a 6-month hardcore training program that since then has launched businesses. And now we're 600 people around the U.S., all military and veterans. But collectively, we've purchased a little over $1 billion of real estate together. And what's really cool about that, 2 things. One, none of us started out wealthy. None of us. I was a major in the Marine Corps. Grew up on food stamps, right? And the second thing is, why do I care about $1 billion? It's like $1.2 billion of real estate. Why do I care? To a hedge fund, they like shoot that out monthly. It's nothing. But this is $1.2 billion of real estate that is inside the families of 600 military people who serve their country. And with appreciation of an average 5%, you do the math. How much wealth is now flowing into the families of people who volunteered to serve and to sacrifice so this American dream of freedom can be alive? What's the irony? They go, they serve, they sacrifice, they go to Afghanistan, they go to Iraq, they get their legs blown off, they serve, and they give the full measure of everything they have to preserve this American dream of freedom, and then come back, and how many veterans actually live the American dream of freedom?
Experience it. Yeah, they don't get to experience that for that.
They see it on TV. They see other people living it. And so now you have, so many people inside White Feather and so many to come for, where we're headed. And so that the mission of White Feather used to be help Kimberly and Buddy buy rental properties. It was nothing. It was whatever. Now the mission is there are 16.5 million veterans in America, plus police officers, first responders, firefighters, right? Those are all people that serve and sacrifice and do their part to keep this American dream alive. In my mind, they deserve a shot at the American dream as well, which means they need to be financially free in order to be able to chase their dreams. So the vision of White Feather now is to impact millions of lives across this nation. And so we're just getting started.
And if Kimberly and Buddy make money, that's okay.
Yeah, that's right. Well, because we're part of White Feather. And so our goal is to build financial freedom so we can live the American dream we fought to protect. So why should it not include us and our friends? Right?
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. Okay, so I got questions. Bob probably has some questions too, but I want to throw in there. So with you guys buying $1 billion and going through, can you give somebody, again, what I'm looking for is veterans that are out there that have a desire to reach out to you, because that's what I said. And when we talked the other day, I was like, buddy, you need to come on the show because I want to help put the message out there to help connect people to you. Okay. And so when I look at that and I'm like, okay, you've got multi-state properties now, right? You got varied ventures, like you also have something in solar as well, right? All of these things are in that niche that you look at and say, helping veterans to become financially independent. Is there a couple strategies or something you could share with us so that, and again, my goal is so they feel more comfortable reaching out? Yeah. Because word of mouth is easy, but is it actually from me? Don't know. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'm an open book. Like I've got a YouTube channel that's just at Buddy Rushing Official. Like, don't just Google Buddy Rushing or you're going to get a bunch of videos of Marines that are like firing and then moving and then firing and then moving, which is called a buddy rush. So buddy rushing is actually a military term for fire. So don't type in Buddy Rushing. You can type in Edward Rushing, which is my actual name. Or you could type in Buddy Rushing Real Estate or Buddy Rushing, whatever. If you go on YouTube and you go to Buddy Rushing Official, you can put it in the show notes. I have a YouTube channel that's filled full of videos that literally is just me giving away all this stuff. Like I will just, right? So you want to talk about strategies? How about a strategy that's relevant right now? You've got highest interest rates that we've seen really since probably the 90s, right? And we saw them dip up a little bit in the 2000s, but really 7-8% interest rates. Those are kind of 90s territory, right? So, but what's more important is that we've gone from 2.5% interest rates to 7.5% interest rates in a span of less than 12 months, which if you do the math on that, right, that's a 200% increase, right? So it's 5 points, right? So it's a 200% increase in 11 months. I've never seen that percentage increase happen in that short amount of time if you look through the history of the United States. And so what has happened is you've got all of these people that are freaking out because this house that used to be relatively affordable but had all these offers on it is now not only not affordable to you, your interest rates, right, your monthly payment is going to be just through the roof. And so you've got all these people that are on the sidelines and they're saying real estate's too expensive, there's no deals to be had. Simultaneously, you've got all these sellers that are like, I would love to sell, but if I sell my house right now and I've got my 2.75% interest, and then I go buy the same exact house over there at 7% interest, my money goes nowhere. So now I'm stuck in this house. And so we're at a stalemate. If you're a real estate agent, you did the lowest volume per real estate agent per capita since 1981, which was the year I was born. Did you know that? In California, the lowest amount. So real estate agents are starving. What if you're a loan officer? Are you doing refis right now, Bob? Are you going to refi your 3% mortgage at a 7%? No, no, thank you. One's refi. No, thank you. Nobody is refinancing. And I've just told you that not many people are buying. So Armageddon, right? No deals to be had. There's no opportunity, right? Okay. Last year, we did the 2 largest deals we've ever done in our entire history in this real estate investment market and in this interest rate market. You want to know how? It was a combination of understanding what's happening in the market and understanding two particular acquisition and exit strategies: seller financing and wholesale. Okay. So seller financing and wholesale. Seller financing is where, Bob, you've got a property, you've paid off the mortgage like your dad taught you to do, and you own it free and clear. And you want to sell it because you want to either move to Florida and, live there with your wife, or you want to move closer to your kid in college, or maybe you just want to get rid of it and you want to go buy that boat you've always wanted to do, right? If I go and let's say you want to sell it for $400,000 and I go and I need bank financing, I need at least 10 to 20% down. I need bank financing at 7%. I need to be able to qualify, and it's very stringent to qualify. Or I could say, hey, Bob, I can give you more money if you just finance this for me. I'll give you 20% down and you finance it at something reasonable, not something ridiculous like 7-8%, but maybe 4.5%. Is that okay? You can make 4.5% on your money. You don't get paid this. You don't have to pay a huge tax bill because you're only getting 20% of the sale. The rest of it's called an installment sale, which is taxed at a lower rate. So you get to save on taxes. You get residual income every single month. You get 4.5% interest on your money, which is way better than a savings account. And I buy your house from you at full price. So that's seller financing. The other part is wholesale. Wholesale is whenever I buy a house from you and I buy it, let's say, at a discount. And then I turn to Joe and I say, hey, Joe, you want to buy this house? I've got it at a discount. Just give me 10 grand and I'll let you buy this house, and you can walk into free equity or free cash flow, and you didn't even have to look for it. That's wholesaling. So last year, we combined this with the market where there's no deals to be had. Did you know that 2 years ago, and I'm going to blast through this with you guys, go back, rewind it, whatever, listen to it slower or multiple times if you want, but I'm just going to throw this out fast in the sake of time. So several years ago, it was a bonanza in real estate. Everybody was building, everybody was buying. And you put something on the market, you had 4 offers above asking price within an hour. All cash, no contingencies. It was just a frenzy. You guys remember it, right? Yep. So when that happened, builders were like, hey, I need to build a bunch of properties and just get super rich. And so they started building these properties. Well, how long does it take to build a house? Anywhere from, with permitting and everything, anywhere from 9 months to 18 months, maybe 2 years. So in that prevailing time, all of these builders and developers were in construction, and all of a sudden in 11 months, the interest rates tripled. So what happens to their hard money that they're borrowing? Right? Their debt service payment. One, their debt service payments typically increase if they're variable. And more importantly, when the houses are finished, nobody's buying them.
Right. Loss of money right there. There's no upside. Yeah.
So our first deal was a guy who, you can go on my YouTube channel and you can see an interview I did with this guy. He was a student in the Accelerator. His name's Justin, an Air Force guy. He comes in, he learns about wholesaling because that's one of the things I teach. He goes out, he makes an offer on an 11 property portfolio in Daytona Beach Shores that were built by a developer, but come to find out the developer had defaulted on his loan, so the hard money lender took him back. Hard money lenders don't loan 100% of the construction cost. They loan 50, 60% of the construction cost, which means he had them at a far less amount. And hard money lenders don't want to hold properties. They want to sell. They want to move paper. So I told Justin, I was like, torpedo it. Just go in and offer cash, right? And tell them that you want to buy all of them. So Justin offers $5.6 million for the portfolio. Justin had $8,200 in his checking account when he made this offer. Right? Let me say that again. He had $8,200 in his checking account. He made a $5.6 million offer. And in order to get it taken seriously,
be the biggest eye opener for anybody out here listening to this.
Biggest eye opener.
You guys have to stop and go, the man knows a way to get you to the property and to financial freedom without you having to sell soap to friends.
Yeah, sell soap to friends or to have a ton of cash. Like, you don't need to be sitting on, he didn't even have enough money for the earnest money deposit, but it didn't matter because everything's figure outable. And if you've got a network of people, then you can crush it, right? And so I sent him $1 million proof of funds from the White Feather account. And he was like, hey, I'm partnered with White Feather. I'm making this offer. They took him seriously. After a long negotiation, they agreed. And he got this portfolio at a $2 million discount. So then, but he still couldn't buy it. $2 million of equity, but he still didn't have enough money to buy it. So what do? Turn around, And I sent an email out to the White Feather database, 600 people. I said, hey, we've got these brand new properties in Daytona Beach Shores. They're going to be great Airbnbs. And we've got them at $150,000 discount per unit because there's 11 of them. And so we got a bunch of people on an investor call, on a Zoom call, just like this one, and said, hey, here's the deals. What do you guys want? And to a man, they said, hey, why don't you assign them to us, wholesale them to us? We'll give you 50 grand per deal. And you give us the 100 grand of equity on top of that, and then manage these and we'll cash flow them. So we executed that deal. And Justin, in 2 months, went from having $8,200 in the bank to splitting a $600,000 wholesale with me and having roughly $300,000 in the bank, using none of his own money, taking none of the risk himself. Then he quit his job, wrote a book, is now a best-selling author, and you saw him at Secret Knock, right? And you saw him sell out all his books or give away all his books at Secret Knock.
All his books were gone. Yes.
Now all his books were gone, and now he's running his property management business. He's living at home with Drea, his wife. He just ran a half Ironman in Oceanside just for the fun of it, right? He's living financially his financial free life, right? And he's still working. He's still building his businesses, and he has bigger dreams beyond this. So it's not like one and done for him. But the point is, you don't need to have huge amounts of money to build financial freedom. You need to have the knowledge to make it happen. You need to have the network to be able to bring all the things that you don't have, and you have to take action. Those 3 things. But that all happened in a high interest rate environment where there's no deals to be had.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That's
And
awesome.
again, what I'm trying to point out is, for one, we talked before the show and we said, so buddy, you want to do interview style or do you want me to just hand it over to you? Right. And he goes, oh, interview style will be better. And he has ran from the second we turned it on till now. Right. I'm like, we don't have to do any interviews. No one here is doubting the passion of this individual. Right.
Yeah.
He's sitting back going, I can talk about this all day. And if you get a chance to meet Buddy in person, it's exactly the same person you're watching here now. He is congruent all the way through. But again, he's one of those guys with a great heart, and he's got the great mind to back up that heart. So he's actually helping people to achieve the financial freedom that they need. And I know financial freedom is a little buzzword that goes around through a lot of the people trying to come up with scamming people and doing stuff like that. That's not what we're here for. That's not what Buddy is trying to do. He is a completely above board, all the way through kind of individual that I'm telling you, yeah, he's good people.
Well, think about what happened.
It's been about a year. Yeah.
Let me explain this to anybody who maybe is not, familiar with White Feather or whatever. It's a group of about 600 of us. All of us have served in some capacity. We've got police officers, we've got firefighters, we've got first responders, and there's a whole bunch of veterans. Imagine, so yes, the answer to your question, to your points, our mission is to help our members build financial freedom, and acting with integrity it's an absolute given, because without that, 2 reasons. One is, if that's not there, none of the rest of this stuff matters. And by and large, most people in White Feather will act with integrity, and they'll do the right thing because they want to, right? But for the cynical civilians out there who are like, that sounds like bullshit, the second reason that it's real is because this is a wolf pack. And if anybody, especially me, breaks that code, you'll get ripped apart. You'll get because this is a group, by and large, there are many, many people inside this group that have taken it to the enemy in Afghanistan, and it gets gritty, and Iraq, and it gets gritty, and you have to have a certain mentality to do that. And if you don't trust the people on your left and right, then you don't come back home alive. And so our sense of integrity and honor it's not about you. Like I literally have a guy who just texted me today. He just wired me $230,000. He wired me $230,000. He and I own a property together, and we have about 400 grand of equity each in the property. Okay.
Nice.
He just wired me 230 because I'm doing a deal and I'm making an investment in this new company, and I need to front the money. And I told him, you can take it out of the equity on the back end. He sent me 230. By the way, I haven't sent him an agreement, like a written contract or anything that assigns over the equity or any of that stuff. And I'm not saying go out and act like this. I'm saying you shouldn't go out and act like this. what I'm saying is the reason that he sent that to me before waiting for the contract is because he knows without a shadow of a doubt that no matter what, I will protect his money, because it's not about him. It's about my integrity. It's about my ethics and my honor, right? And my honor is worth way the fuck more than $230,000, right?
True that.
So, and think about this for a second. Let's just say people look at White Feather and they look at me and they're like, hey, you guys have this great shared vision and everything, but Buddy's kind of like pushing the message forward and everything. How quickly do you think this amazing, beautiful experiment of White Feather with its $1 billion of this and 40 millionaires created and all this stuff, how quickly do you think that dies? If I screw somebody over and I don't make it right and word gets out, how quickly does this dream die?
Like that.
Oh yeah.
Overnight.
Your next week's lovely show on Maury. Right?
Yeah. Well, it's done.
You're not the father.
Exactly. No matter what I say after that, my actions will have spoken so much louder. So ask anybody that's ever dealt with White Feather. Things go wrong. And I've made investments that went bad. And I've made decisions that were stupid. And I will continue to do so. But what I do when that happens is I take ownership of it. And I say, this is what I'm going to try to do to make it better. And if there was ever anybody that was hurt inadvertently from anything that I did, ask my wife what I do to make it right. Right? Like she's like blown away by some of the, but the reason is because I don't care about it being good business. I care about it being in congruence with my honor and my integrity. And this White Feather is filled full of hundreds of people that are just like that, which is why you can meet somebody and say, you know what? You're awesome. Let's do some business together. And the next week you're in escrow. That velocity of trust inside White Feather is so fast because of that. And because it's a wolf pack. If you don't do the right thing, you'll get eaten alive.
That's beautiful.
Wow, I love that.
Bob, questions for Buddy?
Yeah. What, it sounds like such a great opportunity and what you're doing is so cool. I just want to tell you, thank you for your service, both in and out of uniform.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I think there's just so many people that are dying for an opportunity like this, looking for it, but have gotten so discouraged over the years that they've just given up, thrown up their, and yet they've been the ones that have been on the front lines protecting so much. What do you find as being the biggest hesitancy for them to take action on this?
It's fear of the unknown. And I'm sorry to say this, but like access to education is not the problem. Like there's almost too much education available at our fingertips. Like you literally with ChatGPT, especially with the large language models that have come out in the last year, you can have ChatGPT or Bard or Meta AI or fill in the blank of any free service. They can tell you what the top 10 ways for you to make money are after you describe your exact situation. Then they can write a business plan for you. Then they can integrate it into your calendar. Like there is literally no reason whatsoever from an educational or an informational standpoint that you should not be living financially free. It's action, right? So people who are not willing or not, well, no, it's not willing. It's people who are not willing to take the action necessary to change their life. But a lot of times it's because they're afraid, and they're afraid of making a mistake. They're afraid of the unknown. They're afraid they can't trust the people that they're talking to. And I mean, that all makes sense. It sucks, but that all makes sense. I've unfortunately worked with a lot of people that have spoken, they really spit a really good game and they sound so convincing. And guess what? They're not evil or nefarious. They're just not any good at what they do. They just sound good at what they do. And that's tough, right? I've spent a lot of money. I wasted a lot of money on people that, in my mind, really did try hard. They just they weren't effective. And so if you're not just trying to avoid, if you're a new investor or a wannabe investor, and you're not just trying to avoid people ripping you off, but now I just told you that there's also this whole group of people who are not trying to rip you off, but they also can't help you have success. Well, who do you turn to? It's like, and so I mean, we have a little bit of a cheat code as veterans. I can tell you that because, like I said, I mean, it's not all like there are total like shitheads that become veterans. Like that is not a panacea. It's not like but the vast majority, from my experience, the vast majority of service members, they're people who want to be people of integrity. They want to do the right thing. They want to be, men and women of honor and so on. And so it's a pretty good gamble, really, right? And so for us, the way that we kind of short circuit all of that is we do have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of examples of success stories, and all people have to do is say, maybe I'm in the Army, and I'm in my 20s, and I want to be able to build financial freedom, and I like financial freedom. I know it gets thrown around a lot. The reason I like financial freedom instead of financial solvency or liberation or any of those, freedom is what I'm about. It's what I was fighting for in Afghanistan. It was what I was hoping for as a child. It's what I live now and what I embrace. And I want, other people to live it as well. So like, let's say you're an Army guy and you're like, hey, I'm in my 20s and I want to be able to build financial freedom and kind of do my own thing after I get out of the Army. Well, maybe you hear the story of Taylor Wing, who came into White Feather and he was, I think, 27 years old and he had no money. He had gotten a career starter loan of $30,000, a low interest career starter loan of $30,000. He learned the BRRRR strategy. He learned wholesaling. He learned seller financing. He learned sub 2 acquisition. He put them all these, by the way, they're strategies that you use when you don't have a lot of money, right? And he put all of those together, and I'm going to short circuit. Within 2.5 years, he had gone from having zero real estate. Oh, VA House Hack was another one, which we can talk about. Every veteran can live for free wherever they are just by using the VA loan and house hacking. And we've got dozens of examples of that. So he used all of those. And within 2.5 years, he'd gone from 0 properties to 40 units. He'd hit his financial freedom cash flow number per month. He ETS'd out of the Army, moved down to Florida with his wife and their brand new baby. And now he doesn't have a job. And I think he turned 30 this year.
Wow.
That's Taylor Wing. You want to talk to Taylor Wing? I can set you up with a call with him, right? That's the difference. Is like, this isn't like, there are certain people who are just not accessible. They're very impressive. You love what they've got going on, but I'm not going to be able to just text this person and pick their brain because they're just not accessible. Well, the beauty of White Feather, at least right now, hopefully we keep that as long as possible, is, you can talk to Taylor. He'd love to talk to you. Because he wants to pay it forward. He wants to be able to help other people, right? And so that's how we short circuit that. So that your question you had was, if somebody's scared and to get started, what's the number one thing that keeps them from getting started? It's the fear of the unknown, and of having the right people to hold their hand along the way. And that's literally what White Feather is.
Yeah. I love that.
And I agree. I think that's the biggest thing is people are afraid to go alone. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I don't think you should go alone.
Yeah.
I don't think you should go alone. I honestly, if I had it to do over again, guys, it took Kimberly and me 12 years to hit our first real financial freedom goal. And it shouldn't have. It could have taken 4 years, right? And so that's why I call it the real estate accelerator. It's meant to take, 15 years of our experience and education and collapse it. It shouldn't take you 15 years. Hopefully it only takes you 5 or 3.
Nice.
No, fantastic.
That's awesome.
So I have people, it's hilarious, buddy, that there's people that text me during the show. Just commenting. I'm like, you're watching it somewhere. Yes, that came up. But again, they're like,
I didn't know this was live. I didn't know this was live.
Absolutely live. Yes.
Cool.
So and then I dropped. Their question was, and where do I go to find out more? And I said, I'm a smart ass. I said, White Feather Investments has been scrolling across the bottom the whole time. But if you feel it's something you want to take action to, on every platform, I've dropped in the Jot form that takes you to the White Feather Investments. But so if you're in the Army, probably not going to like the first sentence that comes up on the form.
I don't care.
Go Navy, beat Army. Shut up and let's go make some money. Yeah,
exactly. So, I'm a Naval Academy grad, and we've had a rough road the last few years at the Army Navy games. So I'm unapologetically. Hey, you know what's funny though? For anybody Army person who's butthurt right now, this will cheer you up. In Whitefeather, I would say so. There's Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, Coast Guard, and even a Merchant Marine. Believe it or not, I would say at least 60% of our success stories, people like Taylor and Carly, Jared, and so on, who've built financial freedom, who've become millionaires, who've reached all these great, who've helped a ton of people. At least 60% of the success stories are Army, and that pisses me off. Yeah, it's like I'm like, come on, man.
Everybody in the other branches, you need to reach out so that we can help even this out.
Yeah, exactly.
That's great.
Yes. So my brother was a security guard at Target when he was younger. Does that count?
Protect and serve.
Oh, that's awesome. Yes. So we do have people liking it. So fantastic. Bob, I have no other questions. What do you have, Bob? Anything?
I think the other question I would have is how, if we were going to share with somebody, what is the best way for us to share your information other than just giving them a website that would entice them or make them compelled to reach out?
You know, we're building up the YouTube channel. I'm also on Instagram, just Buddy Rushing. You just type in Buddy Rushing and it'll be the one with the blue check. And then Facebook as well. I think it's Ever Rushing on Facebook or so on. So we do put out stuff on the channels. We're getting better at it. YouTube, I think I've got like 100 videos or something on YouTube. So, and those videos are meant to educate. They're meant to inform, inspire. I've got the interview with Justin on the one that did the wholesale deal. You know, when we're adding more stuff all the time. So, and then you can just go, if you just Google like Buddy Rushing podcast or Buddy Rushing real estate or something like that, in fact, I can do it right now. So if I just Google Buddy Rushing podcast, what you'll see is, the first it's like the first 12 links are all podcasts that I've done where I talk about different things, everything from my story to examples of what we do. They're one where I go over the training program itself.
To further clarify as we go in, so here's what Bob and I have learned over the years, right? What you do is very specific, right? What you do is set up for a niche of people, right? And we have seen this with other people and ourselves going, oh, you know what you need to talk to Bob about? Bob is blah, blah, blah. And they say something totally asinine, which means now Bob will never want to talk to Buddy because of how I introduced it to them. So if the thing was, what do you think we should say, right? If you look and go less is more and what have you, what should we tell somebody that we know is a veteran that says something and we go, man, I got to connect this guy with Buddy. What is it we should be saying?
It's just the mission. Yeah, it's just that the mission is the same. It's like we help veterans build financial freedom through real estate. Right. That's everything that we do is in support of that mission. So if they say, oh, well, I'm interested in short-term rentals. Okay, we do that. Oh, well, I want to learn how to self-direct my IRA. Okay, we do that. I want to be able to, build a business. What about saving on taxes? What about creating legal structure and protecting myself? Have you heard of infinite banking? What about, wholesaling? What if I don't have any money? Blah, 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 blah. All of that. What if I'm in Florida? What if I'm in Montana? All of it we help with. But in support of the singular mission of helping veterans build financial freedom. So if you want to just remember the mission, that's what I tell people. Here's what you'll see. The people who are the right fits for our community will immediately be attracted to the mission. The people who are not will not. And that's awesome. That's perfect, right? So a question about no military service. So think of it kind of like a USA model where we want to serve people. We want to help people who have done their part to help this American dream stay alive. And that includes veterans and their families, because their families also sacrifice. If you don't think that's true, I'll ask my wife how she cried herself to sleep the many times she was alone.
Countless nights.
Right.
Yeah.
Countless nights. Yeah. So veterans and their family and first responders. So police officers, firefighters, EMTs, people that will protect you if you get sick, if your house catches fire, if there's a burglar in your house, or if there's a terrorist that flies into the World Trade Center. Any of those people who protect this, those are eligible to be a part of White Feather. And the only reason that we don't open it up to everybody else is we have to focus. Like you know what I'm saying? Like we have a mission.
Absolutely.
I have where my heart lies, and it just, I saw so many of my Marines struggling and in pain because they weren't able
those
to live
that
their purpose.
sacrificed their lives away from their family, away from whatever, then that's the ones you want to say, let's give them a chance to give back, right? Can we give back to them? Can we help them become, right?
Give them a chance to build. Give them a chance to build financial freedom. And here's the secret for everybody that's like, well, what's the ultimate goal? The ultimate business? Well, think about the kind of person that does volunteer to do one of those dangerous jobs or sacrificial jobs or whatever. They're hardwired for service. It's all the police force, the firefighter, EMTs, military. It's all volunteer. There is no draft right now, and there hasn't been a draft in a generation, which means every single person serving in some capacity they volunteered to do it. They weren't forced to do it. They volunteered to do it. Now help that person build financial freedom. What are they going to do with their time? They're going to keep serving.
They're going to go out and serve again. Even if they have financial freedom, they'll find a different way to serve.
Well, and that's what they do. That's what tons of people inside White Feather are doing right now, is they're continuing to serve in some capacity, just with greater capability because they have more money and more freedom. So that's the mission.
So to Mike out at Duty Free Lawns, who does a pooper scooper pickup business in the Texas area there. So I would recommend him go marry somebody who was in the military. Then you can come back. Then you can come back.
Members,
yeah.
That's great.
So I'll find a solution for you, Mike. It's just how it works. So fantastic. So I want to say thank you, buddy. I took up more than your 30 minutes.
Thank you.
That we had talked about, but amazing. And I highly recommend everybody go to White Feather Investments, look through it. I don't think there's anything wrong with going out there and sharing this message with other people. And I think the best thing you could do is take wherever you're watching this and share it out. Okay. And share it out.
That's the thing too.
Even if it doesn't apply to you, it'll apply to people you know.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Is you have
could
somebody
be that
in your
catalyst,
life,
right? You could be the catalyst that helps somebody get to that point, right? We've all watched it. And one of the things that Buddy had pointed out, right, says you're not acting on the information you have access to. Right? We're not acting on it. And so I'm going to challenge you to share it out and let somebody who has, right, given up so much of themselves, right, to actually have a chance to get back and go through. So please do share it out. So, Buddy, final words.
I would just say, I think, lest people get discouraged by all of the, negative and contentious things that you see on the news. I mean, when has that ever been different, right? Our entire life, like the news has been negative since the day we were born. And they're famous for it, actually. Lest you think that the world's going to hell in a handbasket, we are actually living in the greatest, most exciting time in human history to be alive right now for a lot of reasons. A lot of it is because of the abundance that exists in the world, the technological innovations that are driving longer, healthier lives, more access to information, more access to abundance, everything. Like, and this is where I live, like in my hobbies, everything. Like I live in that space where, not only are, super intelligent, like Jarvis-like capabilities coming our way very soon. Jarvis from Iron Man, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, bro, you're wearing Captain America. You can't.
Yeah, I love it. Right?
Bro,
it's a total geek in that. But self-driving cars and flying cars and like all of this stuff, it's all coming at us at warp speed, and it's just such a fun, awesome time to be alive. And if you focus on that instead of focusing on everything that's going wrong, you'll always be able to find something that's going wrong. But if you focus on all the things that are super exciting and fun, people ask me all the time. They're like, buddy, you have so much energy. You have so much passion. You have so much da-da-da. It's either fake, which, Joe, you've known me for a year, so I'm either I am either committed to this lie, because every time you see me, it's the same, or it's real.
Yep.
And if it's real, how is that possible? And it's because I focus on all the things that make me excited, right? And so there's a ton of stuff to be excited about, everybody. And so find the things that make you excited and passionate about your day, and then live there. It's a phenomenal way to live.
Fantastic. Amazing. Bob,
Absolutely.
final thought?
Great job, buddy. I appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Fantastic. So, buddy, I'll be connecting you with several people for you to do additional interviews and talk. Why? Because that's what I can do, is connect you with other people. So we'll go get that
Thank you, brother.
for you. My pleasure. Everybody else that's out there, thanks for joining us, and go out and sell something. Thanks, everybody. Buddy, that was